Yumis, the Lulus, everything is up for grabs. But the Ahri is going to go again to the hands of Tempt, which says that our problem overall was the Swain.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they could just pick up the Zeri here with a Sivir band away and a Vi. They could literally just take two really powerful picks, deny the Vi from the enemy team, pick up that Zeri, pick up the Vi. I think this is actually a really solid rotation for GameWard because they can still get their hands on the Yuumi or the Lulu, depending on what's going to be left open. But actually, they want to get themselves a more comfortable mid matchup, and they're going to lock in the Sylas here. So actually leaving the ball a little bit in X7's court. But I think that Vi too much of a power pick here for Akabane. I'd be surprised to see that not get picked up here. But they are actually really running through some options and figuring out what they're going to pick up here.
Hovering over the Rexar are there for Viking as well. And I think if you're Viking here, might want to drop your bot lane and go for a jungle. Maybe go for something like the Trundle, the Wukong, something that you can engage on, something that you can play the 1 versus 1 on. Maybe get a strong mid jungle duel. Like you're thinking of the Rexar right there. I think Trundle is a nice pick because if GameWard wanted just to go with the more tanky, they mentioned maybe Melonic goes for something like the Ornn, something like the Na, maybe go something for the Sejuani top lane. Trundle sort of diminish the chances of that being picked in picks and bans, which means that the majority of GameWard will be squishy. One champ can take them out.
Yeah.
Now, what do you prioritize here? Because you could actually prioritize getting something like the Yuumi if you really rate that. But it's going to be the Aatrox again.
Wow.
So on blue side, usually you want to get very solid laners, and Chase's story on the Aatrox didn't have a particular problem into the Akali. Like,
no.
The matchup was going even. It was just that the Akali was very problematic in the late game, and Chase didn't necessarily have the agency to join the team fights later
Also,
on.
Camilius was roaming around a lot. So, like, the one time they went for a 1v1, and Amumu waddled out from bot lane and just, like, jumped in on him. GameWard thinking about what they're going to pick up here, and they actually do pick Melonic, the Gnar for the top side. So, these are now matchups decided. It's just going to be bot lane bans now for these final bans. I'm curious to see what's going to get banned. I assume we'll probably see a Zeri get denied here. I don't think X7 want to pick it into the Vi. I don't think they really want GameWard to play it, so I feel like it's a pretty solid ban for them. Question for me is what else is going to get banned away? It looks like GameWard focusing a little bit more towards those enchanters, taking away the Renata. Now, what is going to be the answer here for X7?
And here's the problem, GameWard have first dibs. So if you ban Renata and Lulu and X7 do not ban the Yuumi, then you get the Yuumi for yourself. But I think X7 are looking to get that Yuumi. Again, you have the Trundle, you have the Aatrox, you're going to have a hyper carry down the bot lane. Yuumi is going to be so useful with all this utility later on. And with the Nautilus ban going down here as well, I'm expecting to potentially see something like this. Maybe again they want to handshake the Lulu and the Yuumi with these two. Lulu also very potent and very strong with the likes of Aatrox later on. But what worries me right here is that both of these bot lanes, especially for X7, we've seen Latino, he's Draven.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they want it to be the case as they're banning the Nautilus away as well. And banning that Aphelios, GameWard probably want to match the Zeri, but since they've locked in the Vi, they do not really care. And since Sivir is also banned, you can just take away the Zeri.
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious to see if this is just going to be a Zeri ban here or something else. They actually deny Camilius, the Amumu. They don't want to deal with all that crowd control. The problem is you know, you've got a Vi on the other side, so you still have that crowd control. You still have the Gnar, which is obviously a little bit more dependent on having his Gnar bar up and available. GameWard now, over to them. What do you think they're going to be picking up here? They actually go for the Seraphine bot lane.
That could very well be a Seraphine Senna kind of bot lane, something that G2 do a lot. It's very undiveable, it's very obnoxious to play against, but if you stick something maybe like the Draven and you run it down in the early game, then maybe you can get something going on the map, get that Ahri roaming towards the bottom map, get the Trundle. Seraphine very immobile. One pillar is all it takes to get that flash away, but Attila might be resorting back to his good old favorites, the Zeri, which he had a massive win rate with over in the NOC, and the Yuumi, of course, to support that with from Kasing. And again, Yuumi is really strong on the Ahri, on the Trundle, on the Aatrox. All of these three champions plus the Zeri, pretty immortal if you stick a Yuumi on them. Are they going to be able to reach a late game again to utilize that?
That's going to be the real question. If they actually lock in the Leona, so adding to that crowd control, you know, reducing a little bit in that kind of potential damage by not going for the likes of the Senna. But there is a lot of CC on GameWard, and that's quite a scary team to run into. Then you look on the Sylas. You know, he has the Subjugate to take away from either Chasey or Viking to make them kind of a little more squishy, a little easier to deal with. He obviously has Temp's ultimate, which is going to be super useful. He also has Kasing's ultimate. There's not too many bad ults for him to be retaken there.
Yeah.
Yes, they haven't given him like an Ornn or a Gnar ult to take away, but he's going to have an okay matchup into Tempt in the mid lane. He's obviously got a couple of really good ultimates, which will help with the fact that they don't have a consistent AD carry, because these more tanky members will just have resistances sapped away from Checkerlad.
What I see though is that GameWard have opted to go with full melee champions. The Leona, the Sylas, the Vi, the Na, they all play in your face.
Yeah.
One charm, one ult from Yuumi, one subject that's gonna go down to the champion that's gonna get further closer to the side of X7, and you instantly capitalize on that. Lot of defenses with Leona once he pops her W as well that you can steal away from the jungle and get him to become mega tanky. So I think it's like, if GameWard oversteps or missteps rather and makes a mistake, they're going to be very heavily punishable, because playing a full melee comp is really difficult to execute.
Yeah, it's going to be a much harder draft for them to kind of play out, and I think that's what the difference in the last game was. I think, you know, X7's comp did one thing, and I wouldn't say it was hard to execute on, but it was easy to punish. And especially with the team that GameWard put together, there was a lot of crowd control there. This time around, I think it's actually the other way around. I think X7 have a couple of ways they can play this game. They have a lot of ways they can punish GameWard in this game. So if GameWard are going to win this game, they have to play this very, very, just very well as well. We are on to the Rift for our second game of the day. Obviously, X7 did lose that previous game versus GameWard, and it was a very one-sided affair, Trouble.
Yeah, and I think X7 know what went wrong, right? It says, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, sorry, shame on me. And Attila onto the Twitch right there had one chance and one chance only, and that was to try and get a pick in the mid lane and make it a 4 versus 5 in favor of the side of X7. And they saw the same play from the side of GameWard over and over and over again, so they knew if you charge up your Q in the mid lane when you don't see anyone from X7, there's a guaranteed rat that's going to be around, and you can shut them down, and that was actually the case. Now, right here, of course, we're talking about it's much more difficult to execute on a full melee comp from the side of GameWard, fair enough. But when you do have that Seraphine later on to get the shielding and the healing and all this utility that she can give to a comp, especially with the roots as well, keeping someone in place, it's going to be so much easier for a full melee comp to actually function in a team fight. Of course, getting that Seraphine there is going to take a while as well, but so will for the Zeri. And this is why this is head-scratcher for me, because again, Attila and Kasing have played the Draven lanes before. Attila has been very dominant with the champion, but yet again, they were not willing to play for that early game prowess, if you will.
Well, as expected, early it's been a little bit calmer, but we are seeing Viking actually being slightly proactive here with the fact that he's got a more powerful bot side going for the invade, but GW are aware of that and they are roaming Camilius and Inax up. Gonna take away this blue buff, and there's just gonna be a map split here. Zakabane gonna quite happily go into the blue side on the other side of the map, and let's take away a couple of camps and deny, but looks like Viking actually will be pathing over there just at the blue buff, so Zakabane has to be quite careful not to get himself caught out here by the Trundle on the move.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if Viking wanted to, he could stay on that bot quadrant of Akabane's jungle. You've got Permaprior in the mid lane with Ari, you've got Permaprior with Attila and Kasing in the bot lane. You could have taken the entire quadrant. I think right here, Akabane is going to steal the Grom. They're going to ping away the blue. And as you can see right now, Viking is heading towards it. Level 2 only on the Trundle, as he's not been able to get that level 3 yet. But your top lane is not having any prior, so that means Melonic is going to be the first one to move. But on the other side, Tempt might make the move first, but they can't leave Viking out on his own. He's like, yeah, just deal with it. You've got Smite.
Gonna be the Smite off here as he's chasing Akabane out of the jungle. He's gonna be able to hit it. Got that level 3 now for himself as Akabane. Gonna be able to pick up the crab for himself and just deny that one away as Viking is just chasing Akabane into his jungle. He knew he had pressure in that mid lane, but for now, looks like that early aggression, that early advantage is gonna just be given over as Attila able to avoid the beat drop by jumping over the wall, as you expect from the likes of Azeri. It's kind of what this champion does, but is down in levels at the moment. Obviously, there's a large wave pushing into him, and it's going to be on the side of GameWard to maybe make something happen. But I think it's just going to be a chiller start, as we expect from these two teams.
Yeah, and right here also Akabane has his entire bot quadrant except that blue buff to clear. He's got the Scuttle Crab as well, unless Viking hovers towards that bot side of the map to try and get it, which is going to be the case. Akabane is going to back, which means that for a few seconds he's going to be more powerful on the map, especially since he's gone back to buy items. So expecting some longswords. There you go, 2 longswords already purchased for the side of Akabane. So he will be looking to take that fight over to Viking if he does find him in the jungle, since Viking hasn't had his first reset yet. But talking about reset, the first resets are happening from the bot lane, and especially when there's a Yuumi on the map, you need to be very respectful and aware that the enemy support will roam first. Camilla's walked a little bit further up, got caught from vision from the Scuttle Crab, of course, that Viking did manage to secure, and now he's going to be back in. So for the next few seconds, for the next 30 seconds, Tempt is going to have to be extremely respectful towards a roam possibly coming in from Camillus, because the same thing happened exactly in game number 1, and very nice from Chasey right there.
Really clean, actually. Melanic now down on that flash. And Chasey with the Deathbringer stance, just the sustain built into the Aatrox, is feeling fairly comfortable. Melanic about to gnar out though, so gonna be a little bit harder for Chasey to find that 1v1 any further in. But for now, Viking has a kitty cat, and he's actually moving towards the top side of the map, / mid, but not actually gonna get himself into too much here. Tempt gets himself caught. Checklat has to flash over the pillar away from X7. Nothing really lost either side here, as a play was attempted, but everybody brought their support and their jungle into the mid.
And it's expected, of course. We mentioned how Camillus does have that freedom, if you will, to roam wherever he wants, because Seraphine is a pretty safe champion and you're not necessarily going to die to a Zeri down the bot lane. So right here, GameWard are going to play towards that bot side of the map. They know that the Yuumi is just going back to lane, so they're going to use the numbers advantage towards that bot side river to try and take that first dragon off the game. And Viking still has not backed 6 minutes into the game. They're actually pinging him onto the Grom, but now he has backed. He's got Shin, he's got extra HP. But that dragon is completely gone.
Yeah, well, a lot of pressure kind of built up from that bot side towards the mid. And this is what we wanted to see. We really wanted to see the bot lane action. They decide who gets those kind of early objectives. It's something we've seen time and time again from both of these teams. But as you can see, Inax and Attila, we've got some stats for you on how they've kind of been playing. And I think the big thing is X7, a lot of first blood percentage, but for now, they're getting themselves caught out. And Attila gonna instantly flash and cleanse away. I've forgotten how to speak, as Camillus going low but not going down.
And I think Kasing was also caught in the way while he was trying to take the frontline damage. Detach, reattach, get that passive shield from the Yuumi as well. I think he got caught in CC right there, so he couldn't reattach. Almost ends up losing his life. Still had the heal available, but that is one flash from Akabane going down for 2 summoners over on Attila. And this is very important because Attila is running the cleanse and the flash, and Camillus is almost level 6. If he does manage to hit that ultimate onto Attila, they could potentially go all in next time Akabane is towards the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. As but now mid is still very Tempt favored. Tempt is absolutely dominating this matchup, but not going to be able to find himself a kill at all here. But it's again a very relaxed start for both of these teams, and this is what we expect out of them. They're both two teams who lean heavily on team fighting, and yes, the meta is very bot lane centric. Yes, the meta is a lot of early aggression, a lot of later aggression into team fights with more relaxed starts to the games. But I think these two teams are two teams who heavily lean into that, and heavily, like, it just suits them. It's their play style. So we are expecting, you know, less high-tempo early games into explosive team fights in that kind of mid to late game phase.
Absolutely. I think the styles don't clash right here. They're actually pretty similar from the sort of X7 and GameWard. From the side of GameWard, they're actually a team that likes to play very slow through objectives. Talking about very slow and through objectives, X7 have 4 members towards the top side of the map, whilst GameWard are bringing 5, but they brought these 5 pretty late, so X7 might get out with murder here, getting that Rift Herald, allowing Attila to stay bot lane and farm while they had to rotate their entire team towards the top side of the map for a Rift Herald that actually went to the side of Viking. So as we're talking about it, GameWard are a team that's going to get their early game advantages through sneaking in those objectives. The Dragons, the Heralds, they don't necessarily want to fight. They want to get through these team fights, get their early on advantages, cash in on them through objectives. On the other hand, X7's prowess in the early game is how good their laning phase is.
Yeah.
And that is due to Chasey, Tempt, and Attila always being ahead in CS and gold through their laning phase. And that's how X7 get that early game lead. Now, when it comes to late game, they just both like to get there just to team fight. You can see the compositions as well. On one, you have a Seraphine. On the other side, you have a Zeri. Really nice
Sean
taunt.
Chekalak's been caught, has to blow the ultimate. Tempt still holding his for now. Kassin comes in and heals him up. Chekalak gets half his health taken away from him. X7 got that Rift Herald on Viking. The question is where are they going to use that? Because last time they got that first Herald, they placed it down. It didn't get a charge. It was destroyed by the quick rotation from GameWard. This time, Akabane on that top side of the map, he's struggling to potentially contest his Rift Herald, but he's moving up towards the top side, and Chasey might find himself in a bit of trouble here. Has the World Ender, actually just turns a little bit onto Melanic, a bit of damage, but immediately they're just going to chain CC onto Chasey as he's pulled in by the ultimate. Chasey's sustaining as much as possible, but he can't live forever. First blood to Melanic.
Really good stuff right there. We said shut down X7 in the laning phase. That's what they're really good at. What does Akabane do? He goes toward the top side of the map, capitalizes onto Chasey, overextending. I mean, he literally just died almost under enemy tower right there. On the other hand, luckily for X7, Tempt has been having a much better time in this matchup in the mid lane. The Ari into the Silas, of course, melee versus ranged. E7, you're a little bit better in the early game to bully your opponent, but again, Chasey, he's already shoved in that wave underneath enemy tower. You don't have to be there. You do not know where enemy jungler is. And I think this has been one of the issues that we've had with Chasey over in the NOC as well. The fact that he's not necessarily too respectful of turns, if you will, on when the jungler could be towards the top side of the map. He's been getting caught very often.
Oh no.
Check all that now.
Tempt is in trouble. There is no ult available to Akabane, so Tempt able to avoid that and get himself a bit of damage off with the charm. Again though, Viking, he's always kind of around the map, but not really there making the plays. And right now with that Herald in his pocket, he wants to make a play. He wants to enable his team to put the Herald down. And I think with the chunk onto Chekalad, they may actually just decide to try and throw the Herald down in the mid lane. But TP's coming out from Chekalad, and he's just going to go for the reset instead.
I think the better play would be actually giving that money to Attila's Zeri.
Yeah, 100%.
And try to get that Zeri accelerated into the late game as much as possible. Right here, also picking up that Dragon is going to help them a lot. Inax, though, he does have teleport to come into this fight if they want to play and Tempt.
Oh no, Tempt is CC down. Akabane able to find the kill. Dragon's going low. Can they get the snare down? The final chapter's going to be enough, and Viking just flashes over the wall. They lose their mid, but they do gain the Dragon for themselves, and that's a pretty nice one when you got the Zeri.
You had to use an ult, a flash, and a mid laner for a Dragon, which is your first one. I don't think that's worth it.
No.
Tempt is going to lose so much golden experience in the mid lane. He's going to give away one turret plating to Chekolad as well. And he doesn't have teleport to get back into this mid lane, so it could be even two turret platings. Viking is looking towards that bot lane. He's going to pop the Rift Herald, but Akabane is around.
Yeah, they're just going to try and zone him away, make sure this Herald gets in range to actually get the charge off, but immediately all of the CC onto Attila, but he's able to jump over the wall. Viking now gets the kitty cat on him, but the CC is too much. They're going to get Kasing back onto Attila as the charge does go down, and now they're running through these members slowly but surely, chipping away at the health bars, able to dodge away on the Zenith Blade as Attila able to keep himself alive. Didn't get the plate gold from the charge. That gold only went to Viking though.
Yeah, I didn't think so. They couldn't get close enough actually to get that gold over to Attila. So again, X7 are trying to reach for the plays, but GameWard are just reading them all too well. They knew that this Rift Herald was going to go down in that bot lane. It's always in that bot lane. Give that man to Attila. Get his Zeri to be very strong. Shield ball already completed. You need a second, a third item for that Zeri to start coming online, especially when you have a Yuumi attached to it as well. And right now, it's not the worst of early games, but if you look over in the top lane where we said Chase is usually ahead, 500 gold over to Melonic as a gold lead. In the jungle, 800 gold over to Akabane, who's again taking over the map. 100% kill participation onto this fight.
Yeah.
He goes towards that top lane, he shuts down Chasey, he goes towards that bot lane when he knows Rift Trail is going to be popped. He shuts down Viking as well. Doesn't allow any money to go over to Attila Zeri. So I think Akabane has been making circles around Viking this entire series so far.
He really has, and actually keep in mind that gold lead includes the fact that Viking just got 2 plates all to himself, thanks to the Charge and the Herald. So that shows how far ahead Akabane is right now over Viking, and Viking, he needs to figure out what's going wrong for him in this series because he is struggling at the moment versus Akabane on the Vi, and now got that Chemtech chainsaw. They have got the Divine Sunrot onto Viking as they're actually looking to make some plays onto Attila. Attila will see them coming. He does have the flash. He's going to hold it for a little bit longer, able to flash away in time and hold his life as they get the lockdown down. They get a little bit of damage as well in return. And that's going to be a Summoner Smell now burn on Attila, which is going to leave him very exposed to a future gank.
That was one ultimate from Leona versus one flash from Attila and Kasing's favorite chapter on the Yuumi. So,
Final.
No, but she screams, "This is my favorite chapter!"
Oh, is that what she screams?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never played her.
But Viking, that is not your river. That's 5 members of GameWard.
I think that might not even be his jungle as Checkerlad will jump in with the Spirit Rush and is able to steal away the kills. Temp's looking for a good jump. The charm's not going to quite connect for a Minax on the Encore. As here comes Chasey into the middle of a whole bunch of members. He's almost got himself the kill. Temp jumps over. Chasey's able to find the kill in a 1-for-1 in the extended trade. They've still got Viking coming up in a few more seconds. Attila is able to steal the Herald for his team. He has done it. It's denied from the side of GameWard. And Attila, he's still feeling it. He's still vibing the fight, able to dodge away. The charm goes wide. The center plate will be able to connect as Camillus is going to run down Tempt. Kasing re-jumps on to his AD carry. And X7 should just be able to get away from this one. X7 just about hold firm.
That would have been a whole different fight if Attila had flash and if Kasing hadn't burned his ultimate down bot lane over that gank, because then you would have such huge tools to try and engage over 4 members of GameWard who were just literally pinched over the ramp between River and that topside quadrant of Akabane's jungle. But again, Viking here, I think this is a big mistake. You do not have any teammates, you do not have any control of the river. There's 5 members of GameWard running you down and you're all alone. Your top lane is not even in the top lane, you have to TP in mid lane. But again, you see how strong it is for X7 to teamfight when all the members of GameWard are melees. Because if they do bunch up in that small choke point, that means that Aatrox gets so many sweet spots with that Q3 that you can actually get the reset. And right there, he got the reset, but it was just as about he was dying. Later on fights, if Aatrox does get the reset and he gets that HP back, it's going to be really problematic for GameWard to take them out, because Attila was actually playing with GameWard right there. He was walking into their face, he was putting the damage down. Again, 1 Yuumi ult and 1 flash would probably be all it take for Attila to possibly get another kill there. Yeah. But all in all, the most important thing is that the Rift Herald, which GameWard went for, got stolen away, but GameWard ran away with kills.
Oh, Checkerlad absolutely slamming Tempt in that fight there as Melonic will pick up the first tower of the game in the top side. So tell this game's going a fairly low tempo when first tower is at 16 minutes, well, almost 17 minutes to be fair as well. So bit of gold injection there into Melonic, able to pick that up and actually chipping away at this next tower as GameWard are starting up the Cloud Drake. There's no response on the side of X7, and I think that's almost been the story of this series, is Attila is top lane. You are right, Melonic jumping away too slow to the play, and Tempt's just too far up. His whole team's topside. He shouldn't have been playing bot side at all.
Again, I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnection in this particular series from the side of X7. It's very uncharacteristic for both Tempt and Chasey to make these mistakes, especially Tempt. For Chasey, we've said that, yes, sometimes he overextends, he tries to go for these trades, he likes to play aggressive, but for Tempt, he's very calculated in his moves. He always knows the min-maxing of pushing the lane, of trading, but right now, he's going solo killed, he's not respected enemy ganks, he's not respected support roams, and right now he's hitting 0 and 3, 700 gold behind the Sylas, who is going to scale so much into that late game. And if Attila on this Zeri doesn't actually play the team fights flawlessly and gets caught by any form of CC from the side of GameWard, he's going to end up going down real quick.
Yeah, completely right there. The story of this series is X7 just not understanding the map versus what GameWard are doing. GameWard just seem to have such a grip on the map, even in a game where we were like, oh, they've got 4 melees, they're at a disadvantage because of that. It's a lot harder for them to kind of play out their conditions, but they're still controlling the map. They're still controlling all of the tempo of this game, and X7 are just a beat behind. Yes, we've seen some signs of life from them. That might just be a bit of the comps coming in. But then again, there is still, as we move into the later stages of the game, Zeri's going to be scaling. You've got the Yuumi as well. Aatrox Yuumi late game, going to be really scary. Trundle Yuumi as well late game, very scary to deal with. So as this game does go later, X7, I expect to see some more life from them. Yep. And they're only down 3,000 gold. It's not a small amount of gold to be down, but that gold lead is spread out. It's spread out across everybody. Yep. You know, there's 700 in the bot lane in the AD carry, 800 mid, 900 top jungle, 1,100 top lane. Like, the gold lead is very spread out, so it's not so far gone like last game at this point where we were like 6,000 to 7,000 gold up, and that gold lead didn't matter how spread out because each individual member had like half an item over their opponent.
And don't get us wrong, the only reason we're going on about X7 not playing their peak game is because we've seen them for 2 entire seasons. This is not their peak game, and GameWard are playing their own game. They're playing to perfection. They're playing to their win conditions, and if we want to see 5 games, X7 are going to have to step it up and play the best League of Legends that we know them to play, and that is through Attila carrying these late game team fights. As you mentioned, you've got the tools, you've got your front line, you've got your Yuumi, you have been getting fed 2 items on that Zeri, looking for 1 more, and I'm expecting X7 to start going for it.
Looking in for the side of Viking. Camilius is going low. Akabane taking so much damage from the Baron. Attila also half HP for the moment. Camilius able to survive. Nobody has gone down yet as Camilius eats the W from the Zeri. They get another charm off into Checkerland. He loses a lot of HP. Viking caught for the moment as Akabane pinned him by the pillar. Vikings going low, healed up by the Yuumi. And somehow X7 are holding this fight together. Melanic flashes forwards and down they go. 1 by 1. X7 are crumbling to GameWard. Tempest chasing down. Checkerland finds a double kill as 3 members of X7 fall.
GameWard are having the fight of their lives. They have 4 melee members and 1 Seraphine. Guess what happens when you walk through a very narrow choke point as 4 members or 5 members from the side of X7? Yeah, you get hit by Seraphine, you get rooted in place, and you get hit by all of these melees that find it so difficult to close the distance between them and Zeri, between them and Ari. X7 just gave it to them on a platter, and GameWard are very happy to run away with 3 kills and the Baron. And even though we're saying, oh, that gold lead was not that huge of a deal, right now it's a 6,000 gold, and they're gonna take towers and a bunch of gold from that through that Baron. But again, Viking extremely overextended, and Akabane again finding Attila, taking his cleanse, getting out of dodge, and then returning. But look at this. Inax permanently slowing whoever comes through, putting that damage down, healing and shielding his teammates as well. So X7, again, Viking overextends right here, almost ends up dying. And you want to fight through a narrow choke point. That Narch got mega. You're lucky for everyone that flashed away, but it wasn't enough because whoever got left behind ended up dying from GameWard. So then again, I think X7 are not playing these team fights particularly well, and they're getting caught by GameWard in, again, very narrow spaces that they shouldn't be.
No, you're completely right. They are just taking suboptimal fights into a team who want you to be clustered, want you to be grouped up, and you nailed it as well. Akabane able to find Attila and just find a free kill. It was such a freebie, or not a kill, but at least zone their AD carry, their kind of main damage dealer in these fights out of the game. Now, Chasey able to get himself a objective shutdown by taking that tower. Akabane going to be quite happy to pick up this dragon. It's going to be uncontested, but the next one needs to be fought here by the side of X7 as Camilius finds himself caught for the moment. The subjugate is on. They lock him down with a pillar. The flash out for the moment. The TPing in members, and Attila might be in trouble. Checkerland able to get himself a chain lash on. The encore connects onto Viking, and Viking loses his life. Melanic is now gnawed out, and this is scary for X7. Tempt hasn't got ultimate in time. He misses the charm, and he is taken down. The slam into the wall as well means Chasey will be quick to follow.
It's over.
GameWard have done it. They've taken 3 members out. They have Baron, and the death timers are are just way too long for X7 to hold fast here. Tower number 1 will be going down. The inhibitor will be left exposed. Can X7 hold on? 10 seconds, 9 seconds still Viking. They've still got a little bit of a wave. It's being chipped away. Attila pops the ultimate. He's caught out by the beat drop and the Everfrost. All the CC's on. Attila jumps over the wall to get away. The first tower's down. Vikings up, but he's being slowed. The minions are slowly diminishing away, and X7 are able to hold fast for just a little bit longer as GW are just getting out. They're happy with what they got there, and they're out.
Oh, the TP's being pulled in. Tempt is TPing back in.
No way, Tempt, are you doing this? Tempt, why are you doing this? He has to ult away. That's 1, that's 2 charges used. He's able to hold it for the moment, and X7 are not done. They are hunting in for members. The pillar is catching them out, but look at the encore. Look at the solar flare. Look at the team fight falling apart in the scenes for the side of X7. Attila remains untouched. JC, what a jump into the middle of everyone. Attila's able to hold his life. It's JC now onto Camillus, looking to find himself another kill. The Infernal Chains connect. It's a quadra kill for JC as he's jumping after Checkalad. Checkalad's able to limp away. How did X7 hold on?
We criticized JC. We mentioned how he had to step up, and damn well he did. Tempt right here wasn't going in for the kills. He was going in as the bait. He was trying to split GameWard in 2 places. You see 4 members down. Akabane went top, but there's not enough mana on Akabane. There's not a lot of mana on Inax, and they can't necessarily play too much front to back. Attila, though, is stuck on the side and not able to put down the DPS that he wants to, and Viking completely melts. But once that goes down, JC jumps in and gets a 3-man pull into his Q3, and when he starts getting these resets, he gets his ultimate back up, grabs Camillus as well. And that was many, many shutdowns that went to the side of this Aatrox. So now you stick that Yumi onto the Aatrox, and you spray and pray that JC and that Aatrox are big enough to carry the team fight. But let's not run too fast. Let's learn how to walk first before we learn how to run.
Walk,
It's 5,000 gold lead still for the sort of GameWard. Insane scaling still for GameWard. The Sylas, the Seraphine. You've got the Nara in the top lane as well. A lot of anti-healing coming in from both sides.
Okay,
Attila does have his flash.
He's okay.
Flash doesn't really do much for a Vi if she presses R.
Yeah, she's just following you the whole way. And 2 towers standing outside the base. Make that 1, because Checkalad's going to make easy work of that, taking the tower down. And they've still got to deal with the supers in the bot lane. They've got 1 tower in front of their Nexus right now. And about 2 minutes until that inhibitor respawns. So
I don't know, man. Is this Zeri bugged? I've seen Zeris in the LPL. They press W, they take 80% of someone's HP, but...
It's just a coin flip. It's a coin flip.
No, is it maybe that, like, LPL Zeris get a buff or something? What is it?
Yes, I know. You might be right there. To be fair, this is... I did notice that earlier. I was like, this is not the most damage I've seen a Zeri WD. Like, I'm slightly surprised to actually not see someone just lose half their health to the mini Lux laser. That is Zeri W. And I think, you know, the side of GW, they're still ahead in gold. They're still ahead in the map pressure. They're still ahead in a lot of metrics. But they are going to be playing a little bit more respectful to what X7 can do.
If we look over to the top side of that minimap as well, the entire quadrant has been lit up in red woods. There is no way for X7 to actually face check in there, and the Baron is coming up. So important. GameWard have set down their vision. They're waiting for their prey to walk in. Melonic now is going to go into Nina form, so he needs to expend that real quickly and then start charging up the next one. Fighting through these very narrow choke points, being grouped up for X7 is equal to death. If you get hit by Seraphine Old, Seraphine Root, if you get hit by Megana, everyone dives in and someone dies from the side of X7. The Baron's going to get started. X7 are piling up.
They are, but they're going to try and slowly check their way in. They know the GW are just baiting them into a fight. They don't want to pay victim to it.
Look at the bot side of the map real quickly.
No.
Because all the super minions are running into the base whilst GameWard want to do the Baron. There is teleport on both Tempt and JC, but you need to be very swift because your base will just fall if you just TP in and the fight just gets completely stopped by GameWard.
Yeah, they're holding up for the moment. Checkalad steals away everything. There we go. The charm connects. Not onto Attila. The teleport's coming out. But instantly, GW lose a lot of health himself immediately off the back of that as Temp jumps forward once more time. He's going to try and find himself a charm onto Camillus, able to do so as in comes Chasey into the middle of everyone. He's dead. He's CC'd down, and Attila is being jumped onto by Chickalad. They're trying to finish him up. They're able to connect the charm. Chickalad healing over the Kingslayer, holding fast as Kassin goes down, and X7, they've lost their major tool to keep themselves going.
There's teleports. There's 3 teleports on the side of GameWard. They're going to end.
This is going to be the end. X7 are going to be knocked out. They're trying to teleport out in time. The big drop, the interrupt. They stop him from getting back to base as they're teleporting their 3rd member in. Attila is trying to hold up. Vikings are now alive. He's bringing in the Trundle. Can he keep himself going in time? Flashes away from Melanic. Gets sent packing. Gets sent back, and he is out. Chasey's not going to be up in time as the Nexus will go down. GameWard go 2-0 in the series.
And LFL, well, they've come to play because they're playing League of Legends, but they've not come to play in terms of